Quick microphone check with the members. Councillor Banks, can you see and hear everything?
Yes.
Councillor Walton?
Yeah.
Councillor Kelly?
Yes, that's fine.
Can I ask that everyone who isn't speaking keeps the microphone on mute, please, just to stop any feedback? Over to you, Chair.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Councillor Christine Banks, and I'll be chairing this meeting this morning. We have Councillors Pauline Walton and Councillors Malcolm Kelly, just us three make a decision today. I'm going to go around and ask who's going to be present. So I've got Mr. Carl Barry, Mr. Jamie Mottler, Mr. Mike Edwards, and we've also got Councillor Hessie Woods. Is that it? Okay. Okay, we'll move on from there. So over to you, Anne-Marie. Oh, we have our solicitor as well. I'm sorry. We have committee services and we have our solicitor here in attendance today. So over to you, Anne-Marie.
Okay, morning everyone. So the application this morning, the first one that we're going to hear is for Einsteins, and there's a slight error on the report. I apologise. The purpose of the meeting is a variation application which is being heard today, and the application is for Einsteins, 26 to 28 Fleet Street, and the applicant is the Pub Invest Group. The designated premises supervisor is Shane McNeil, and the application was received on the 11th of February, and the premises is a licensed premises. So the summary of the existing licences for all licensable activities, so plays, films, indoor sport, live music, recorded music, performance of dance, entertainment of a similar description, Monday to Sunday, 11 till 3 in the morning. Late night refreshment, Monday to Sunday, 23 till 3:30. Supply of alcohol on and off the premises, Monday to Sunday, 11 till 3. And the opening hours again, Monday to Sunday, 11 to 3. So a variation that's been set before you today, Chair, is to keep all the same licensable activity, but to extend those hours on a Friday and Saturday till 4 in the morning. During the consultation of 28 days, Merseyside Police have agreed conditions, and those conditions are with regard to an incident book, staff training, a knife crime risk assessment, Challenge 21/25 policy, and no under 18s on the premises. We received 2 representations during that period from elected members, which are laid out before you in the committee pack.
Okay, thank you for that, Anne-Marie. What the procedure we're going to do today is we're going to listen individually to the 3 businesses we have this morning, and then we'll deliberate at the end, because you have to go offline, it's online stream, so we don't want to be doing that. So we'll be listening to the 3 individual ones, and then at the end we will deliberate. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. Okay, Mr. Barry, over to you. Einstein.
Good morning, Chair. With regard to the application itself, it was made by the manager, Mr. Mike Edwards, who's here in the room with us today. We've looked at the concerns put forward by the councillors, and if I can summarise those, these concerns seem to be an increase in crime disorder, intoxication, queuing disorder, congregation on Concert Square, and general disorder due to longer hours and alcohol being taken off the premises. There's also issues with road safety and the detrimental effects to Concert Square that have already taken place, to improvements that have already taken place. The councillors also cite the potential for underage drinking and nuisance to residents, and also COVID-19 issues. If we could say that in consideration of Einstein, in discussion with Merseyside Police, conditions were agreed, which are in your report pack, to negate the issues that the councillors have raised concerning crime and disorder and the problems associated with intoxication. The company operates a robust queuing system outside the venue, and indeed all of its venues on Concert Square and in the vicinity of the square itself. The company also applies at a cost to them of around £3,000, excluding operational staffing costs, for a road closure to Fleet Street annually, which is supported by both the police to prevent crime and disorder and to promote public safety. There have been several ATU test purchases in this area over the years, and these premises were indeed tested The Weights and Measures Department, which is the responsible authority, didn't deem it necessary to put forward any representation because, as far as we are aware, the premises has never failed a test purchase, and Challenge 25 is one of the agreed conditions with the police. It should be noted that not a single resident nor environmental health have put forward representations. Incidentally, these premises have also had off sales, which is a concern of the councillors, since the grant of the premises licence, and is operated without any incidents associated to this.
Have you finished now, Mr. Bailey?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Bailey. So this is, how many years has this been established at Einsteins?
Prior at Einstein?
Yes.
Since at least 2018.
So we took it over the last 2 years. So you just said your staff, or the SIA staff, are going to be trained in the procedures of Challenge 21 to 25, knife crime procedures. What's going to be procedure if one of these your SIA doorman finds somebody with a knife or part of a knife or anything? And what's the procedure of stopping people going through those doors with a blade or any other thing that could be used as a blade? So what's that procedure?
Well, with regard to that, Chair, there is the opportunity for the door supervisors to confiscate that blade and hand it over to Merseyside Police, and potential for citizens' arrest. And I say potential because citizens' arrest in itself is fraught. It will be recorded, and obviously the individual concerned would be barred from the premises.
So do they have a wand?
They have knife wands for searching.
Okay, so then you've got females going in. What's your ratio for female SIA door staff?
There are female door supervisors on the premises, and I'll refer to Mr. Edwards to get a breakdown of them. Mr. Edwards?
Thanks, Carl. Essentially, we ensure we have one female member of security staff at least on each premises, and every evening that we're open. They tend to ensure that that person is on or near the front door so that they can aid with any searches.
Okay, so you've got a drugs policy. So a lot of stuff takes place with drugs in the toilets. So what's your procedure about going in and out the toilets all the while to make sure that drugs are not taken on your premises? So what's that procedure?
We have 15-minute checks on the toilets. We also have staffing within the toilets as permanent cleaning staff. So the managers carry out 15-minute checks, but there are staff stationed within the toilets in busy periods as a permanent fixture to carry out permanent cleaning throughout the toilets. As part of their role, they're asked to check, and they have a radio on them in communication with the security staff, so they are able to notify any security staff of any issues.
Okay, so you have to do the identity of your patrons going in and out of the building. So your ID, you have an ID policy. So what's your procedure when passport photographs don't match up to the person that's going into your building, or an ID card? What's that procedure?
It's the same with any other ID check scenario. If we feel that the picture doesn't match up, we ask for other forms of ID, but they might have an alternative image, or they might have matching ID to verify. We don't accept anything that doesn't have a photographic ID. And at the end of the discussions, if we feel that we can't verify that this is the actual person, then we don't allow them into the premises.
Okay, so you just send them away. You don't confiscate that passport or that ID card?
No, we've had that issue in the past. In days gone by, we did used to, if we had proof that it was a fake passport or a fake driving licence, but we've since been advised about 2 years previously by the police that that's not the right course of action, so we no longer do that. We've actually had police handing back IDs and false IDs to people. So our procedure now is simply to send them away. If there are police nearby, we'll notify them. There's not much we can really do.
Okay. So Sorry, I'll bring you in next, Pauline. So, Mr. Barry mentions that you, Mr. Motley pays £3,000 a year to close. Is it Wood Street?
No, it's Fleet Street, yeah.
Fleet Street, sorry.
From Constant Square.
Yeah.
From Constant Street down to.
So what's the times that they pay for that road to be closed?
The times are starting from 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Till 5 a.m.
Okay. A.m. Okay. That's all. I might come back. That's all I have to say at the moment. I'm going to bring Councillor Walton in. Councillor Walton.
No, Chair, I think you covered most of the points I was going to ask. Thank you.
Councillor Kelly.
Thanks, Chair. Can I ask, have there been any complaints from local residents directly to the premises or the management of the premises regarding noise disturbance or disturbance when customers are leaving the premises?
Who's
that
addressed to, Chair?
Well, anyone who wants to answer the question from the premises.
I'll take that answer if you don't mind, Carl. We've had no correspondence with any neighbours with regards to noise complaints to the premises. If there have been any to environmental health, they haven't been made aware to us either.
Okay. And obviously, in terms of migration from other premises to your premises, obviously there's a concern that because you're going for a later hour, there is the potential for customers to be leaving other premises that may be closing earlier and come to your premises. How are you going to deal with that? Are you necessarily going to just allow anybody to come into your premises from 2-3 o'clock in the morning, or is it going to be a cut-off time for allowing people into your premises?
We operate that on a case-by-case basis. We assess by talking to every customer that comes to the door. We don't simply allow them to wander through the door. We greet everybody that comes to the door, and the security staff greets everybody that comes to the door. Part of that procedure is a vetting procedure to establish their state of mind and the level of intoxication. And we deal with it as such. As a standard company operating procedure, we don't let anybody in for the last half hour that we're open anyway. Because there's no point to it, because you're just causing issues by encouraging them to drink too quickly towards the end of the night. So nobody's allowed in within half an hour as a standard operating procedure. That's a company policy.
So what you're saying in this particular regard is that come 3:30 in the morning, no one will be allowed in beyond 3:30?
Yeah, that's correct.
Or potentially from 3 o'clock in the morning until 3:30, customers may still be allowed to go into the premises.
Yes, that's correct.
Pending your door checks. Okay. And what measures are you going to put in place to ensure that your customers, when they're leaving the premises, particularly at 4 a.m, assuming you've got a lot of customers in there, you come to the closing time, you need to get those customers out. Obviously, there's people who are asleep that possibly looking to get into work the next day. How are you going to manage that and ensure that the residents aren't disturbed by your customers leaving?
Mike, yep.
We have notices up on the doorways as people are exiting the premises, please advising them to please be considerate of the neighbours that are leaving. But obviously, we also talk to them as they're leaving the premises. We have the front doors manned at all times, so as people are leaving, we advise them to please be considerate of the guests that are leaving quietly. We also have a good relationship with the Taxi Alliance to ensure that there's plenty of transport around to take them out to the centre.
There is also, Councillor, a taxi rank at the bottom of Hanover Street, which will be the general flow of people going towards that rank.
Okay. Thanks, Chair. That's all I've got.
One more question for Mr. Edwards. Do you have potential patrons that have used your businesses when they're leaving the businesses, if there's anybody who's on their own, who could be drunk or has had too much to drink, how do you look after your patrons when they're leaving the premises? Do you have a procedure where you sort of see a young man or a young woman on their own to say, are you okay? Can we get you a cab, or can we see that you're all right? So what do you do? What risk assessment do you do to look after those people when they're leaving your premises, especially if they've left the friends and they're on their own?
And that's a fairly standard security training for the nation security that operates the premises for Mr. Mockler and the Pub Invest Group. There is a lone individual policy which looks at the vulnerability of patrons that may be leaving the premises and offers them the opportunity to stay on the premises to get a cab if necessary, offers them water, etc. And there's a first aider on site as well to check that the individual themselves are not incapacitated in any way. So
is that a named first aider where you have the up on the wall and then you do first aider and that person's named?
If I can allow Mr. Edwards, you put your hand up to speak.
Thanks, Carl. Yeah, we have, each premises has a named first aider, as you would in any other workplace, with a notice on the wall. But at the weekend, on a Thursday, Friday and Saturday evening, we also actually pay for a fully trained medic to be on site in Concert Square. And I believe we're the only operator in the city that currently does that. But we have that trained medic is available to us and paid by us right up until 4 a.m. on Thursday, Friday and Saturday.
Okay, thank you for that. Robin? Oh, sorry. Robin, have you got any questions?
No, thanks, Chair.
Okay. Anything else to add, Mr. Barry?
Not at this present moment in time, Chair. I mean, my response will be to, obviously, any questions that the councillor who's put in the representation may have, and also to sum up. Are we summing up at the end of each
we'll sum up at the end, but you'll deliberate at the end of the 3.
Okay.
Okay, because people need to get to work and need to get to the business, isn't that? I'm going to bring in Councillor Woods. Over to you, Councillor Woods.
Thank you very much, and appreciate the work of the committee online as well, and I hope everyone can do this. Just it might be I might be wrong about this, but I think I've just heard that you have a policy of half an hour cut off before the end in order to to prevent people from drinking too much or prevent people from coming in too much at that point. That it means that there is currently a 2:30 cut-off at your premises because you think it's inappropriate for people to be drinking after that time. So I don't understand why there then would be an application for even longer licensing hours. It is going to cause issues. Members of the committee asked if there had been any issues in Concert Square. And I was surprised that it wasn't raised, that the last time that the premises, including Einsteins, and I know we're looking at other premises around Concert Square today as well, were open in October, there were serious public safety problems. The police had to be involved quite seriously. Concert Square itself was completely out of control as a result of the management of those premises and the patrons coming out all together at that time. And I haven't heard any reassurance that that would not be a problem. I understand that the measures that are taken in order for the IDs and stuff to get in and out the bars, but Concert Square itself is a bit of a different location in that there is also a lot of outside drinking, and that also needs to be controlled, and that also has impact on the residents, particularly in the way that the audio and the sound goes in the area. It has significant disruptions for residents. To extend that licensing hour extends the problems, extends the noise disruption, extends the antisocial behaviour, extends that later. And I don't see why that is necessary, and I don't see how that can be controlled. Like I was saying, the last time that these bars were open, there were serious public safety concerns and public health concerns in Concert Square as a direct mismanagement of that area. I would say as well, Mr. Barry mentioned that no residents had complained about this. Residents have complained, and they complained to councillors, and then as councillors we put in objections. That's how sort of the democratic representation process works. So I will disagree with that point. Completely agree that the work you do in terms of medics, in terms of passport IDs is great. But my concern is that this extra hour of licensing activity is not necessary. And in fact, if the argument before about you stopping drinking at 2:30 was that people after that point will be getting too drunk, then another hour after that, it also increases the problems there. I'll be brief.
Okay, Councillor, you said there's been problems there. And I have to ask this question: have you got a police report of those problems from the police? Did you get in touch with the police?
Yes. So the police have said that the issue is because they do reports based on the last 12 months, and because we've been in the coronavirus period, but there was well documented police problems in terms of that bar on when they were last open in October.
I asked the question, Councillor, because the police have sat down with the applicant and have placed in conditions, quite a lot of conditions. So, and there's nothing in the police report to say there was problems, because yeah, we were in lockdown, but there was times where we were out, the bars and the restaurants were open. That's why I have to ask that question.
I do understand that, and I do understand that, but it was national news.
Okay.
And I don't think the licensees can deny that there was a national news story about the behaviour in Concert Square on one night.
Okay, I'm going to bring in Councillor Walton.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, Hetty, you're saying that it was national news, but the problem, when I say a problem, it was Concert Square in general. It couldn't be confined to one bar. So without specifics from the police relating to that individual bar, it's just a generic coverage from the police's point of view.
Yes, and I know it's difficult, but we are looking at several bars in the whole today around Concert Square.
Yeah.
Like this morning's meetings are all relating to bars that sort of all open up and all have on Concert Square itself. And what I would argue is that all bars should have been all bar staff would have been responsible for their patrons. If Einsteins wanted to say it was another bar, or can show that, but I think there have been problems on the management on Concert Square, particularly outside, which causes more disruption to residents who are trying to sleep and trying to do that. And I don't think that the extra hour of licensing activity will in any way make that more tolerable for residents.
Okay, and a second question, Hetty. Before sort of coronavirus and things, was there any problems with the bars before that you're aware of? What I'm saying is that you have, as councillors, we all know we've got the right call for review. And have you considered doing that on this bar? Has there been any reason to do that on this bar? And you know, from what residents have been saying, or maybe through the police would have called a review if they thought it was that bad.
Yeah, so there has been issues raised from residents, particularly in the tea factory and particularly in the building above the Lloyd's bar, and also in the building that's above like Soho. I can't remember the name of it. There's a few residents out the square, so the noise carries. I haven't previously done a review because we're trying to work with the owners. I think this comes into the extra hour of licensing activity that makes it intolerable and unacceptable. Residents do accept living in the city centre. There will be some element of noise. They're not daft, but it's when it starts to extend, it gets like that. And also prior to COVID, the area benefited from different licensing legislation. So it benefited previously from a cumulative impact area, which it now does not. So there's been changes to the way licenses can operate in the area since then.
Okay, thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Chair.
Councillor Kelly.
Thanks, Chair. I think you mentioned that you haven't previously done a review because you've been trying to work with the owners. Is that with the owners of these particular premises we're dealing with now?
With all, so working through sort of the route walks, pub watch, and other organisations like that. I have to say, to be fair, the noise is bad, but it's not bad every night. It's particularly bad on the weekends, but residents are very much have got used to, oh, it'll be over by 3 and then I can get some sleep, but extending it into 4 is a big difference. And also that's a lot of extra time for individuals to be drinking and then for antisocial behaviour to be getting worse from that point as well. So residents are extremely worried about that, how that extra hour of drinking will impact on the noise, on the antisocial behaviour, on the area. So
when you say that you've been working with the owners, is that generally across the board in relation to what is happening in that area rather than working with the owners specifically relating to these premises? Yes. Because of the problems these premises are causing? So is it across the? It's because of what's going on across the board in Concert Square.
Yeah, yes, it's not just So it's not even just Concert Square. It's residents. It is. I'll be fair. It is more wide than just Concert Square. But yeah. So not the premise. Because
what I was getting at is as a committee,
not separate.
Yeah, because as a committee, our consideration is going to be how these premises may or may not be contributing to the wider issues that you seem to be raising. And, you know, obviously these premises could or could not be having door staff on the door asking people to be quiet. And if they don't have door staff on, that could contribute to some of the wider issues that are going on. So they're the sort of things that we're looking for as a committee in relation to these particular premises. So going on from that, have you as the local councillor had any complaints from residents specifically relating to these premises to say that they're doing something wrong or that there's a noise disturbance from these premises?
So in terms of that, I think it's probably more fair to say that residents complain more about Einsteins and McCooleys than Boston Pool Loft, just because of the nature of, and I could be wrong about this, Boston Pool Loft, I know we'll come on to it, is like an internal pool hall, right, whereas Einsteins, McCooleys and the bars opposite work very much as an open area drinking. So it's more issues relating to drinking within Concert Square itself, and then the patrons of those bars as they exit.
So you've had residents who complain to you about this particular bar? Yes, and the patrons of. Yeah. And how many residents roughly would you say have contacted you, and over what period of time?
So the period of time will be since July 2012 when I was elected. I'd struggled to I could probably go away and sort of pull that together.
Respectfully, Chair, this is new evidence that we've not had the opportunity to see.
Well, no, there's a complaint. Yeah, there's a complaint about noise disturbance and to local residents. So that's there, that's on the table before us, and I'm now trying to establish over what sort of period of time there have been concerns in order for that representation to be made.
I will say, I have probably in my time as a councillor, which is the best part of 10 years, had hundreds of complaints. However, I want to say that these bars have passed hands times between that. I'm not saying that these owners and these particular licensees have been responsible for 10 years of problems, because they have not.
So what I was going to say, based on that, because, you know, curious about this, over that period of time when there's been complaints, have those residents, or indeed you as one of the local councillors, raised these concerns directly with environmental health or with licensing? Or with the premises direct, and roughly when did you raise it, and what action was taken by whichever department you raised it with?
Environmental health on multiple occasions, and I've been led to believe that licensing officers and environmental health officers have visited the premises previously. Because I haven't looked into this, I can't say whether it was these particular owners, but I know that environmental health over that time have visited these premises. I don't.
But is that following complaints from yourself?
Yeah, yes, it is. But I might be arguing myself out of a thing here, but I don't want to say that because I can't. I don't know exactly when these particular owners took over, in terms of whether.
But it doesn't matter. In my view, it doesn't matter necessarily when these owners took over, because obviously, if there's a problem with a particular premises, it's for each and every individual owner, past and present and future, to deal with those problems and be aware of those problems. So. And that's why I'm asking, you know, had you made contact with these departments, and you know, has there been some action from them that you're aware of?
Yeah, and I think one particular. I'm here today about the extra hour, but I think one thing that could be considered, and I don't know if Mr. Barry and the licensees would think about this as well. Issues tend to happen more in Concert Square on sunny days on bank holidays, or sunny days on like race days or derby days or things like that. So I don't know. It would be unfair to say that every single day is a problem, because it is not. And the vast majority of the time, these bars are great. But where issues arrive, it is those days when there's something and people go out to drink, you know, like more than they would normally. But also at the end of the night, it's people leaving bars as they do already.
Okay, and then obviously this application for variation has been submitted, and you've responded by making representations, but before that, or during the period up to this hearing, have you been in touch directly with the police, or particularly the licensing section of the police, to talk through these issues and work with the police to look at possible conditions to resolve some of these issues?
Yes, but not just for these bars. I want to be completely fair that it's that I'm currently working with the police in regards to the rope walks as a whole. So not just particularly looking at the changes after coronavirus and after the cumulative impact area.
Because you know why I'm asking, and I'll tell you why I'm asking, because you know obviously in your representations you're asking the current hours are retained, so in effect that we do not allow the application for variation. You're asking for challenge 25, which is obviously something that's been included with the conditions from the police. No off sales. Well, that is already, I think, my understanding from what Mr. Barry has said, that is already part of the licence anyway, so it's something that we're not necessarily considering here today. But the fact that you're asking for the current hours to be retained, the police have clearly put forward some conditions, and they are saying or suggesting in that that they're happy for the hours to be extended, provided those conditions are taken on board. And that's sort of out of sync with what you're looking for. So that's why I was curious to whether you've had some conversation with.
I think I understand. I suppose then in terms of
Can't hear you, Malcolm.
okay, it's not just me.
Malcolm, we can't hear you. The last little bit we didn't hear. Talk, Malcolm.
Has he gone?
He hasn't gone, but I think his sound has gone. Malcolm, I think he's frozen. Oh no. Malcolm, can you come back in, please? Unmute. I'll leave him there for the moment. Pauline,
Carry on. I'll message him and tell him to leave the meeting and rejoin. Might work.
Pauline, you raised your hands. Can you? Did you want?
Oh, it's okay. It was a slip of the finger.
Malcolm, can you hear us? Sorry, Councillor Woods. No, he's frozen. Councillor Woods.
I was just going to say, I broadly think I got what Malcolm was asking there, but and I'm happy to repeat this again. But just to say that understand that the police think that they can police it as they do at 3 a.m. Completely understand, completely support them in that. My concern is for the additional noise at a later hour for my residents.
Can we hold fire a minute, Mr. Barry, till we get Malcolm in? Because if he's frozen out, we can't continue.
Yeah,
That's
he's just going to leave the meeting and rejoin now.
Okay.
If it doesn't work, Chair, I can always dial him in.
It's online. Chris? Jane?
Yeah.
So
Still
it's
live,
just that
yeah.
everything's so quiet.
Proper surgery.
I'll stop the live.
I don't know how far I got into that last question, but it's just about Councillor Woods working with the police and talking with the police with regard to this application, particularly with her asking for the current hours to be retained, and obviously the police suggesting that they're happy with conditions.
I was going to say, just in response, I have no doubt that the police can police as well at 3 or 4. So in terms of their operationals, it doesn't impact. My concern mainly is for my residents and how the increase in hours will put more noise at a later time as a disturbance to them. Oh, and that it will increase sort of general things in the substance square. Sorry, just rambled there.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's all I've got. Thanks, Chair.
Mr. Barry, your response to the concerns of the councillor?
Certainly, I think as I mentioned...
Hang on a minute, hang on. Robin, have you got any questions?
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that. Mr. Barry, over to you.
Certainly, Chair. I think, as I said, this is new evidence to us because no representations have been made by EHO. Nobody has approached the premises from any of the residents in the area. With regard to the issues that took place that were broadcast, I believe, on Sky News, that was around at 10 o'clock at night. That was nothing to do with any late hours. And also, the film crews there, the people on the ground that were witnessing this, were actually inciting those people to act up for the camera. It was dispersed fairly quickly thereafter. Concert Square itself is licensed premises, so there is a control on the square. The streets themselves are quite differently. That's a policing issue, and perhaps that needs to be looked at in greater depth. And the police, I think, have more or less acknowledged that. In my conversations with the police concerning these premises, indeed all those that are being listed for today, there have been no issues that haven't been resolved with regard to the conditions that have been put forward. Now, with regard to the representation itself, it doesn't specifically or just solely cite noise as an issue. There are a range of issues on this representation. Also, I think the councillor said that she'd been in touch with Pub Watch. So I asked Mr. Hughes to come in. I contacted him, and he's the chair of Pub Watch. He's in the room today. And while we're in terms of allowing new evidence, Mr. Hughes could actually tell you himself what contact he has or has not with the with councillors or with the council itself.
So,
if you allow them to come in.
So, Mr. Barry, we haven't allowed new evidence. It's about noise. It was brought in, and it was a question that Councillor Kelly asked Councillor Wood. So we haven't brought in new evidence. And Councillor Wood's in her representation has brought about noise. So it's not new evidence. The fact that can you bringing people in that are not down as being here?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to allow it.
That's fine.
You've been at those pub watch meetings as well.
Yeah.
I have. So if you need to say something, say it now. But
Okay,
we haven't brought
I'll say it directly then. I've asked Mr. Hughes, has anybody from any of the councillors in the area approached him with regard to issues within Concert Square? And let's not just talk about Concert Square, because this is about these particular premises. And no, they haven't. With regard to any complaints that may or may not have taken place, we've had no awareness of this. So it's not something that we can really respond to. The AHO, as I've said, have not put forward any representations. The local authority, as a responsible authority, haven't put forward a representation. And I think looking at the square in general is moving sight of what this hearing is about, which is about these premises that have asked literally for 1 hour extra on Friday and Saturday. The issues that were cited with regard to the COVID issues on Concert Square took place at 10 o'clock at night, and that's when every bar dispersed at once. And that was brought up by me to the police that there would be an issue within the city. In fact, I brought it up with the chief inspector for the city centre, saying once these bars all let out, that's where you've got a potential for problems at taxi ranks. At the moment, there is a dispersal across the city and across Concert Square, and this can be maintained with these hours. The additional hour, I don't feel, or we don't feel, would be in a correctly run establishment, and this is because there's nothing contrary that's come forward today that said any different. Shouldn't be an issue.
Just one question, if you don't mind.
Certainly.
Has environmental, and Mr. Edwards, has environmental health visited these premises about noise?
Thanks, Chair. Not once have the environmental health contacted us regarding these premises, no.
Okay, that's fine. Right. Robin, have you got any questions at this moment before I go into summing up?
No, nothing, Chair, thank you.
Okay. Has any other councillors got any questions before we go into summing up? Okay, we're going into summing up. Mr. Barry, if you don't mind, I'll bring in Councillor Woods. Is that fine? Okay, Councillor Woods, sum up.
Hi. As councillors, we are looking to ask for a rejection of the extension of the licensing hours. We think that the licensing hours at present are sufficient, and any later hour would cause more disruption to our residents at a later time at night in both noise and antisocial behaviour on the square. I concede that it is difficult because there are multiple premises around the square. But I would say that, for example, the incident in October showed that the bars struggle around Concert Square to manage that. And also Mr. Barry was saying that there is an issue when all bars let out at the same time. And I think all but one premises around Concert Square have applied for this extension, although they will be heard at different times. I do accept that. 4 a.m. is a very different time than 3 a.m. 3 a.m. is that's a generally accepted late night time in terms of clubs and bars to be opening. 4 a.m. is in the night time. It is when people are asleep and do have the right to be sleeping in their homes. It pushes the noise too late to these residents and to this area, and I would ask for it to be maintained at 3 a.m. As it is now.
Thank you for that, Councillor Woods. Mr. Barry.
Thank you, Chair. I think that we put forward our proposition. There were representations from Merseyside Police that were satisfied. I think the premises is a well-run premises historically. There's been no evidence put forward today of any noise issues. With regard to this organisation which runs this bar, It's a large employer in the city. It will create further jobs with these hours and also bringing people back into these premises. There is a demand. It can be run safely. And we believe that we've addressed all of the points and concerns as set forth by the councillors. And we would ask that the council, that this licensing committee would grant the hours as applied for.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Barry. As I said at the beginning, we will look at the other two establishments before we go into, Councillor, before we go into our summations. That will be at the end of this. And I will say to everybody here, we are not looking at the Concert Square, we are looking at individual premises. And if those premises has caused a problem in the past, that's what we're looking at. And can they deal with that extra hour in the future? So I'm going to make that clear. Councillor Woods, did you want to say something?
Just in regards to committee services, I don't think the police representations are available in the public documents.
I haven't received any police representations.
Oh, I thought Mr. Barry said there'd been police representations.
Conditions, so they didn't make one.
They withdraw because they've come to an agreement with the bar owners about the conditions and the brought forward conditions. So the police don't have to, they haven't got a problem.
Those conditions then aren't public, just for.
They're outlined in the report, but the full conditions will be in the minutes.
Yes. That's how it works.
No. I'm just looking at the. Okay, I don't think it's.
I think Anne-Marie went through what the conditions were that had been agreed with the police when she presented at the beginning of the meeting, didn't she?
Yeah, it's all like me to do with the agenda, Hetty.
I can see it just says incident book, staff training, knife crime challenge, no 18s. I'm just wondering, was that?
Yeah, there's other.
Is that all of that?
Okay, that's all of those conditions.
Thanks.
The police and their licence and authority have put forward their conditions, and as I said, Anne-Marie presented them at the beginning, but they will be published at the end. Okay? Okay. Jane, do we go off the live screen now, because we're not going to deliberate this until the end and come back on to the next one?
You can stay on the live stream and go straight on to the second item, Chair.
Okay, Western Pool, Anne-Marie. You're on mute.
Apologies. So the second application we're hearing this morning is another variation submitted for Boston Pool Loft at 35 to 37 Fleet Street. The applicant again is Pub Invest Group, and the designated premises supervisor is Nicola Smitten, and the application was received on the 11th of February. The premises is currently licensed premises and it's known as a pool hall. The existing summary of the licence is plays, films, indoor sport and performance of dance Monday to Sunday 9 till midnight, late night refreshment Monday to Sunday 23 till 2 in the morning, supply of alcohol Monday to Sunday 9 till midnight and opening hours Monday to Sunday 9 till 2 in the morning. The details of the variation is to keep the same licensable activity, plays, films, indoor sport, performance of dance, Sunday to Thursday 9 till 2 in the morning and Friday and Saturday 9 till 4 in the morning, with late night refreshment Sunday to Thursday 23 till 2 in the morning and Friday and Saturday 23 till 4 in the morning. Supply of alcohol on and off the premises Sunday to Thursday 9 till 2 and Friday and Saturday till 9 till 4, with an opening hour Sunday to Thursday 9 till 2 and Friday and Saturday 9 till 4. Now, there have been agreed conditions with Merseyside Police during the consultation period, and one of them is to remove condition 1 because it makes reference to hours, and those hours obviously have been asked to be varied. A change of wording to update the wording with regard to SIA on the existing conditions of licence. A change of wording with regard to Challenge 21 and Challenge 25 on the existing premises licence. And additional conditions have been added with regard to an incident book on site, a log book of incidents, notices with regard to public nuisance, delivery times, and a knife crime risk assessment. And on this case, Chair, 2 elected members have made representations on this application.
Thank you for that, Anne-Marie. Okay, Mr. Barry, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Do I need to summarise the representation again, as it's the same as before? I will.
I'm looking at individual premises here. So
yeah, certainly. As I've said, the representations have been made against the licensing objectives, and the councillors have raised concern of an increase in crime and disorder, intoxication, queuing disorder, congregation on Concert Square, general disorder due to longer hours and alcohol being taken off the premises, road safety and detrimental effects on the improvements to Concert Square that have already taken place. The council has also cited the potential for underage drinking, a nuisance to residents, and COVID-19 issues. With regard to Boston Pool, Merseyside Police, the acknowledged experts in crime and disorder, have agreed conditions with the applicant to promote the licensing objectives, the prevention of crime and disorder to the extent that they, as experts, have deemed appropriate, and again, the operate a robust queuing system. Although the road closure for Fleet Street, which was previously mentioned in another hearing, is not covered in that particular area, there is a robust queuing system in place with marshals as security on the outside. There have been no representations put forward by Weights and Measures, who are the responsible authority for trading standards, and the ATU, environmental health or residents in the area, and we have not been made aware of any failed test purchases by the Alcohol and Tobacco Unit.
I'd like to ask a question about this, right? This is it all pool tables? How many pool tables is in there?
Just hold on one moment, I'll refer to Mr. Edwards.
Right.
Thanks, Chair. There's a total of 12 pool tables, 2 snooker tables, and then there's a variety of other games as well, which includes the likes of shuffleboard, ping pong, and there's a few other varieties.
Okay. My next question is, if people are drinking and playing pool, what happens when people are too drunk to play pool? What procedures do you have?
Is that from Mr. Edwards?
Yeah.
Thanks, Chair. Effectively, we have quite strict controls with regards to anybody who plays any of the games up in Boston Pool Loft. So we have a system in place, a deposit system. So the way it works is we have a lockbox system where they provide us with a deposit and their ID that goes in a lockbox. So anybody who's playing the games gets vetted by the staff at the bar. They provide us with their own ID and a deposit which goes in a lockbox which they have control of. And then that way we have all the details of anybody who's playing any of the games as well. When they come to the bar, obviously they're assessed for their behaviour as they would in any other venue, as well as when they enter the premises with security at the front door.
Because I'm thinking 4 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know, write me if I'm wrong, who wants to play pool to those hours? And is it strictly you don't allow anybody in who seems to be inebriated or has had too much to drink? What's the procedure? Is that the procedure before you'd even let them in?
Yeah, that's correct, Chair. We have security on from, depending on what day it is, either 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. at night, right through to the closing time. And if the security aren't on and it's earlier on in the afternoon, then the manager acts as the host of the venue and the manager controls who enters the venue. Nobody's allowed to enter the venue or consume a drink if we feel they've had too much to drink, as they would in any other premises. With regards to people, the question regarding people playing pool late at night, the reason we're applying for this extension is we've had a lot of consultation from our existing customers and potential customer base who've asked for us to be open later on because there's nowhere available for them to play pool late at night.
Okay. So my next question is, because pool cues and pool balls are sort of like weapons, if there's anything, disturbances caused by anybody, how many security men do you have up there? Because we're talking about a lot of people here in one place with all those tables. So how do you manage that?
We have 2 security staff on at any one particular time. They never work alone. There'll always be one of them inside the premises, and the manager walks the floor as well. Because of the security, because of the deposit system we operate with regards to ID, it helps us to control the behaviour of anybody within the premises anyway, because they naturally know that we know exactly who they are, so they do tend to behave a lot better. With regards to use of pool cues, etc., as weapons, I suppose you could say that about any device in any venue, but I get your point. But we do operate a strict control system in terms of who has access to them, and we have all their details, which is how we control it. Sorry, Chair, one more point. You mentioned with regards to a lot of people up there. We actually only limit the number of people in the venue to 120 people. So it does help us to control how many people we have up there in terms of, the overcrowding of the venue or any such behaviour.
Okay. So if you've got 2 people playing pool or snooker, whatever, there's only 2 can be on the table. They can't have a crowd around them, is what I'm asking. Is that controlled?
We don't limit it to 2, we're limited to 4, because you can have 4 per table if they're playing doubles. We have a separate bar area near the front of the venue, which is separated away from the games, which we use as a waiting area. So effectively, the way we control it is if people are waiting for a table, they don't gather around existing tables. We have a separate bar area where people will accumulate.
What I'm getting is, you can't just walk in and say, I'm waiting for that table and stand by that table. You've got to stay in the bar.
That's correct, but we also allocate which table they go to, so they don't really get a choice in the matter.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Walton, got any questions?
Yes, thanks, Chair. Mr. Edwards, you're saying obviously this is a pool bar and with a separate area for people to wait. Do you allow people in off the street to just come in and drink with no intention of playing pool or shuffleboard?
We do at times, yeah, in the bar area. There's no condition that everybody has to play games, but the vast majority of our customers, they come with the intention of either going straight to play a game or to wait so that they can have the opportunity to play a game.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Kelly.
Thanks, sir. Have there been any disturbances at all in this bar, particularly whilst people are playing pool? Sometimes the game doesn't go well. Tempers can be frayed, particularly if people have had something to drink. And as the chair's already mentioned, there's an array of weapons available to them. Have there been any issues or concerns around this?
It would appear not. It would appear not, Councillor. I think the demographic that they attract, by and large, are not prone to violence. It's not a speakeasy, effectively. There's been a considerable amount of investment into this premises, and so far there have been no issues whatsoever. In fact, that's reflected in the fact that the police, with certain conditions, withdrew their representation.
Okay, that's fine. That's all I've got. Thanks, Chair.
Robin, have you got any questions?
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Woods.
Thank you. Really sorry, Chair, am I allowed to ask Mr. Barry a quick question about something he said? No,
through the chair.
Okay.
You can ask me, and you can answer that in his summing up.
Yeah, I might have misheard, but I think he said that there wasn't a road closure directly outside of the Fleet Street closure. I thought there was, because the Fleet Street closure is all the way down, isn't it?
No. Can I answer that, Chair?
Oh, right. Yeah, so people can come along,
Answer in your summing up, Councillor Mr. Barry. Okay, is that okay?
Yeah.
Oh, you can answer when you respond to a response to a concerns. Is that okay?
Yeah, okay. Not a problem, yeah.
Is that okay, Councillor Woods?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I was just because before obviously it said that there was a road closure paid for on Fleet Street around Concert Square, but then there wasn't. So I was just confused. And I think the road closure might be Wood Street then. But anyway, we can come to that. Because if there isn't a road closure outside of Boston Pool Loft, there isn't a road closure outside Einsteins. In terms of my representation, sorry, I don't know. This isn't, but I think it's important to get that right. In terms of my representation, in terms of the police conditions, absolutely, and I think they go a long way towards the concerns that we had ward councillors had in terms of some of the things like the challenge 21, 25, things like that. And I apologise for not having seen those in time for the previous one. My concerns are still around the later hour at night. I still think. I think that a later hour is unnecessary and it would cause more late night noise to disrupt more people later at night, which is unacceptable for residents. And I think that needs to be looked at, and particularly the exiting at 4 a.m. and the amount of additional drinking time, and then the way that exiting from the premises is controlled. I don't think that this extra hour is necessary for the business, and I don't think it will improve or add value to the area. I am aware that previously that there was different licensing legislation in this area that meant that the bar owners had the onus of proof to prove that they would not be the issue, whereas now it's on the licensing authority. So I wonder how that has changed the timings for this application, and why. And I do question why, if this was necessary, why the owners hadn't put forward this this variation under the old conditions, where they had to prove that they would not cause an issue. But I'll be brief because I know we've already been here a while. It's the later hour causing more disruption, more noise to residents. Fully accept the conditions that the police have put on and how they will assuage some of the concerns regarding antisocial behaviour in the area. And also will say, in terms of Boston Pool Loft, I don't think I've ever had a complaint about Boston Pool Loft specifically as a councillor. My concern now is the patrons on leaving and how that will disturb my residents.
Thank you for that, Councillor Woods. Councillor Walton, do you have any questions for Councillor Woods?
No, thank you, Chair.
Councillor Kelly, do you have any questions?
I'm fine, thanks.
At this moment, okay. Mr. Barry, your response to Councillor Woods' concerns? Oh, hang on a minute. Because we're rolling over. Robin, do you have any questions?
Oh, no, thank you, Chair.
At this moment. Mr. Barry, over to you.
I think in response to the road closure, I applied for the road closure in consultation with Merseyside Police and Highways. And although Fleet Street itself, from the top, if you look at coming in from Colquitt Street, is supposed to be closed and it's supposed to be bollards up. Very often those bollards are down or have been down in the past. So it's decided that if cars, or more likely taxis, were stuck on that area, that the actual closure would start at Concert Street. So in other words, that the cabs can come down Fleet Street, take a left on Concert Street, and then a right onto Seal Street, and then possibly come back by David Lewis Street. So it is that section of road that's actually closed.
Okay, is that all your in response to the councillor's concerns, Mr. Barry?
No, with regard to the, I thought that we'd get that cleared up out of the way. With regard to the premises itself, It is effectively, it's a small premises. It has restricted numbers obviously with regard to the number of tables in the premises, but also the space. In itself, it's not caused any problems in the past. The police, environmental health and the residents seem to be satisfied. There's been no evidence put forward to us, and it's something that we would have addressed. If there had been concerns put forward to us, we would have addressed them historically, but there hasn't. It's a safe, civilised environment. It's an area that people can go and play pool. In a city that really at once advertised itself as never sleeping, like New York, we need to have these kind of environments to promote, and it is a cultural issue, to promote the city as it was called, the European capital of culture. We don't seriously believe that this would create an issue down the line, and if there was, then there is the opportunity to review the premises, as there is with all premises. With regard to why this application wasn't made, well, it was made fairly clear by Merseyside Police that because there was an SCIP in place, that there would be representations put forward that would stand. And with regard to the committee, rebuttal is an assumption to a licensed premises within an SCIP, apart from a number of exceptions, which unfortunately this particular premises would not fall under. So that's why the application wasn't made prior to. And to be honest, my opinion, for what it's worth, is that the SCIPs themselves didn't work. They stymied business within a city that's trying to grow.
Mr. Barry, let's not go over the CIPs. As you say, you're bringing something new into this, and now I'm going to stop.
It was a question that was mentioned.
You won't allow anybody else to bring something new in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't have the choice. It's already out there when I make the...
Yeah, well, you didn't put it in, so don't even go there. Have you finished, Mr.
Yes,
Barry?
thank you, Chair.
Okay. I'm going into summing up now, and I'm going to bring in Councillor Wood. Oh, Robin, have you got any questions before I go into summing up?
No, thank you, Chair.
I'm going to bring in Councillor Woods first to sum up. Is that okay with you, Mr. Barry? Okay. Councillor Woods, summing up.
Thank you. In brief, I think I will raise, I am still concerned about the final hour being pushed back. This might be a bit unusual, but I think I would welcome speaking separately to this to the owner and Mr. Barry in regards to the hours, because actually if there is a need for a late night, I'm not against a late night pool hall, but I think part of the issue here is the particular time and lining up in terms of the rest of the bars in the area. I'm not even saying I would be against an even greater hour, but I think the concerns are the management of egress from this premises in particular at that time, when there are going to be other premises at that time kicking out. I have to say this premises causes me the least concerns, but I still do think that residents, still don't want residents to be affected by noise or disorder from drunken patrons from this premises exiting. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Mr. Barry, just a question, and you can answer this in your summing up. Because it's a pool hall and because people play pool, when's the last terminal hour that you allow for people to come in to play pool? Does it last long?
Yeah, can I refer that to Mr. Edwards?
Yes, before we go, that's okay
it's
with everybody.
It's a question you feel needs to be answered, if I can just refer it.
Mr. Edwards.
Thank you, Chair. If they're coming in just for a drink, we don't have a restriction on when they come in at this time as a operating procedure currently. But if they're coming in and they'd like to play pool, it's a 1 hour minimum anyway. So they wouldn't be able to come in and play if they hadn't already arrived 1 hour prior to closing time.
Thank you for that. Just a question. Over to you, Mr. Barry, summing up.
Thank you, Chair. I think that we put forward a cogent argument for these premises to extend their hours. This, as acknowledged by the councillor, is not a problem premises. My client does take very seriously his responsibilities to the community. There is security on the premises to usher people out of the premises and away from the area. My client also is an employer, or one of the largest employers in terms of the nighttime economy in this city, and this will actually increase the number of jobs that it will be able to offer. We hope that the committee would look upon this application favourably.
Thank you, Mr. Barry. As I said, we'll go on to the next one now, and we'll do our bingo. So we're going to McCooleys. Over to you, Anne-Marie.
Okay, so the third application that we're hearing this morning is a variation for McCooleys at Concert Square. Again, the applicant is the Pub Invest Group, and the designated premises supervisor is Shane McInnill. The application was received on the 11th of February, and the premises is a licensed premises stroke sports bar. So the existing licensed chair is for films, indoor sport, live music, recorded music, performance of dance and anything of a similar description, Monday to Wednesday, 11 till 2 in the morning, Thursday to Saturday, 11 till 4, and Sunday, 12 till 0:30 hours, with a late night refreshment of Monday to Wednesday, 23 till 02 hours, Thursday to Saturday, 23 till 4 in the morning, Sunday, 23 till 12:30. Supply of alcohol Monday to Sunday is 8 in the morning till 2. Thursday to Saturday is 8 till 4, and Sunday is 8 till 12:30, with an opening hour of Monday to Wednesday 8 till 2:45, Thursday to Saturday 8 till 4:45, and Sunday 8 till 1:15. So the details of the variation laid before you, Chair, is for all regulated entertainment, films, indoor sport, live music, recorded music, performance of dance and entertainment, Sunday to Thursday, 8 till 3 in the morning, and Friday to Saturday, 8 till 4 in the morning, with late night refreshment Sunday to Thursday, 23 till 3 in the morning, Friday and Saturday, 23 till 4 in the morning. Supply of alcohol Sunday to Thursday, 8 till 3 in the morning, Friday to Saturday 8 till 4, with an opening hour of Sunday to Thursday 8 till 03:45, and Friday 8 till 04:05. So during the 28-day consultation period, agreed conditions have been made with Merseyside Police, and that would be a replacement of the old CCTV conditions with an up-to-date wording of those conditions, particularly those numbers 12 till 33 on the existing licence. And additional conditions have been added with agreement for an incident book, staff training, door staff and a knife crime risk assessment. And again, Chair, we've had 2 representations from elected members on this licence.
Anne-Marie, can I just ask you a question before you go? Page 3 of 15, and it's got opening hours of the premises. What's this Thursday to Saturday, 4:45?
Can I just get the licence up, Chair?
Yes.
On my screen.
I think it's on the last page, 3 of 15.
3 of 15. Just bear with me.
Okay.
You're querying the opening hours, Chair?
Yeah, it's got opening hours Thursday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4:45 a.m.
Yeah, so there's been an extra drinking up time on the licence, which was agreed previously on the licence.
Oh, that's already got it on the licence.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that was already on the licence. So there was alcohol till 4. There's currently alcohol Thursday to Saturday till 4 in the morning on the licence. With an opening hour of 4:45, so we've got 3/4 of an hour drinking up time.
Okay, that's for Mr. Barry to answer. Thank you for that, Anne-Marie.
Okay.
Mr. Barry, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. If I can summarise the concerns of the councillors that put forward representations. The concerns of the councillors are an increase in crime and disorder, intoxication, queuing disorder, congregation on Concert Square and general disorder due to longer hours, and alcohol being taken off the premises, road safety and detrimental effects on improvements to Concert Square have already taken place. The councillors also cite the potential for underage drinking and nuisance to residents, as well as COVID-19 issues. Our response: Merseyside Police acknowledge experts in crime and disorder have agreed conditions with the applicant to promote this licence and objective, the prevention of crime and disorder, to the extent that they as experts have deemed appropriate. Again, the premises operates a robust queuing system and is covered by the road closure for Fleet Street. There have also been no representation put forward by weights and measures, environmental health or residents in the area, and we have not been made aware of any failed test purchases by the ATU. The premises has also had off sales on the premises licence it's granted and is not subject to this variation. Could I pick up on a point of ours, Chair?
Yes, go on.
Okay. I'd like to hand over to Mr. Edwards on this, because it would appear that the hours Friday, Saturday are staying the same. It's an adjustment of hours Thursday and Sunday. So if you could just explain, Mr. Edwards.
Thanks, Carl. It's effectively the Friday and Saturday hours are existing. You'll see the existing opening hours on the licence allow 45 minutes effective drinking up time. We're leaving them existing as is. What you find on the application is the midweek hours, we've, including Sunday, we've applied to extend to 3 o'clock, and then we've just asked that the same 45-minute drinking up time is applied to those same operating hours. What you'll find on the actual application is we've actually made a concession on this as well to Merseyside Police to actually reduce the hours on a Thursday to simplify their policing operation. It's existing 4 a.m. We've agreed to actually reduce that to 3 a.m. On having consulted with the police, they've deemed it just makes their policing a lot simpler because everywhere else will close by that time on a Thursday. Sorry, you're on silent.
I'm telling everybody else. So what you're saying is you've reduced the hours for, did you say Saturday and Friday and Saturday?
No, Chair, we've left Friday and Saturday existing as they are. We've agreed to reduce the hours on a Thursday, which are currently 4 a.m. and 4:45 closing time. We've agreed to reduce that by an hour at the request of the police to simplify their policing operation.
And the Sunday hours?
And the Sunday hours we've requested to extend to bring in line with the other days of the week to 3 a.m.
So what's the last orders in your bar? In any of the bars? 3 o'clock finished, so when's the last orders?
Every venue is operated independently, but in this particular venue, we take last orders 15 minutes before closing time.
Oh, 15 minutes drunken up time?
No, but that's why we've got 45 minutes existing on the premises licence as a drinking up time. That allows an hour's drinking up time in total.
Fine, because I was all mixed up with the hours. That's fine. So Walton, have you got any questions?
No, thank you, Chair.
Councillor Kelly?
No, I'm fine. Thanks, Chair.
Robin, have you got any questions?
No, not from me. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Okay, Councillor Woods, over to you.
Thanks very much. I accept the variations, the conditions put on by the police, and I think they, as before, go some way to assuage some of the concerns that we had in regards to, say, the underage drinking and things like that. So appreciate those. In terms of the change in licensing hours, still have two main issues, and that is initially the additional hour on the Friday and Saturday from 3 till 4. Sorry, Mr. Edwards is shaking his head. Is that not correct?
Yeah. No, because they've already got hours 4:45. at this moment.
Yeah, Friday and Saturday, sorry to correct, don't vary at all. They stay existing.
Saying is if they're asking an extra hour, is it from Sunday to Thursday, Mr. Edwards? From 2 o'clock to 1?
Extra hour on Sunday. The Thursday we're reducing by an hour.
Reducing. So Monday to Thursday you're reducing. It's just Sunday you've asked for the extension.
Yes. I was going to say the second was the Sunday, the additional. I think it's an extra 2.5 hours on a Sunday, which knocks back the hours and pushes later on the potential for. Sorry. It pushes back later on the potential for noise and disruption for residents in that street, and I don't think that's a necessary thing that there. So yeah, I'm concerned in terms of that. I will say, I understand that we need to come to these licensing meetings, but it is frustrating that I think these issues are something we could have resolved before this meeting if the licensee and the licensing rep had come, because actually I think we can come to a negotiation on this. If you're not going to be serving until 3 a.m. on Sundays, then there isn't going to be an issue. But if you are, then we need to look at it.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Woods. Your response, Mr. Barry, to Councillor Woods' concerns?
Thank you, Chair. With regard to negotiation prior to hearing, I actually received instruction on Friday of last week to represent this week in terms of the hearing. So unfortunately, there's no real time for negotiation. Yep, I think the councillor's quite right. If you engage with the councillors prior to make an application, then it can assuage any problems that the councillors may perceive. With regard, again, I can only refer back to the lack of any representation from any resident in the area that's been put forward to the local authority, or any complaints to the environmental health. Over and above that, I think that this is a well-managed premises. I'd have to take you back historically to when these premises, and perhaps Councillor Kelly will remember this, were Reflex and Ruby Sky, where I think there were problems at these premises on a continuous basis, and it was up before committee on at least 2 to 3 times, I think, in my knowledge. Since Pub Invest, the Pub Invest group have taken over, they've completely revamped these premises. They offer food, they offer a different level of entertainment, and have generally improved that area. Concert Square prior to had a reputation, it was like the Wild West. I think now it's far more controlled, even where you have, shall we say, both foreign and domestic TV crews inciting young people to act up for the cameras. I would hope that effectively that this deliberation that we're having today would convince these councillors that there wasn't a problem and that we could move forward with business. There is always the opportunity to review.
Robin, have you got any questions before we go into?
I haven't, Chair. No,
okay.
No, thank you.
Just one thing I'd like Mr. Mottler to consider, if you will. You ever considered, because you've got a number of bars in one space, you ever consider it's a safe place where people who lose their friends or are on their own are looking for people to where they can go and charge the phone and get in touch with their friends? You ever considered that?
I mean, we were talking about maybe having, a station somewhere around Concert Square that, people could come to. But, we always got managers on the door, especially, on big sites. And, there was always like customers coming to them asking, in regard to even, we want to use the toilets, or we lost friends, or we lost our phones. And there's police around Concert Square, over the weekend at all time.
Yeah. Just a suggestion, Mr. Mottler. I would like you to seriously think about it. and maybe meet with the councillors to discuss it. Councillor Woods, if you would discuss that on my behalf. Okay? Right, everybody, if that's all anyone has got to say, what we will do now, we will consider these applications this morning. That consideration will be put forward. I think it will be emailed to everybody because of the post with the pandemic and everything's late. That will be emailed to you. If anyone's not happy with our decision this morning, you have 21 days to appeal our decision through the Magistrates' Court. If that be the case, I do suggest you seek legal advice. But I thank you for your attendance here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could I ask once again that
Well, I'll allow it.
that we could learn of the decision prior to it becoming public knowledge on the Liverpool City Council website?
I'll discuss that afterwards, Mr. Barry. Okay.
Okay, thank you.